Anyway, as we're having this conversation, Israel has, of course, launched its large-scale attack on the West Bank. The number is now 10, by the way. At least 10 Palestinians have been killed in this large-scale attack.
Understand there are.
My brother-in-law just had his house ransacked in Tulkarm. He installed security cameras a few months ago because of all the thieves in the refugee camp. And they used that as a pretext to enter his house, put plastic cuffs on him, beat him, and ransack. This all happened in the last few hours. I forget what it's called, but there's a principle that the Israeli occupying force utilizes where they will like take over a house and they'll put all of the Palestinians living in that house into one room. They turn it into basically an outpost for themselves, and they will use it for the duration. If you need fucking food, fuck off. Okay, if you need medicine, fuck off. What matters in that moment is like the Israeli occupying force utilizing your temporary outpost. Yeah. And they use that temporary outpost to snipe other Palestinians. Yeah, to snipe Palestinians, yeah, from that temporary outpost. They will take over a civilian house deliberately, okay? They will take over a civilian house deliberately and snipe Palestinians from that civilian house. Yes, straw window. I think, no, there's like a specific term for it. It's like something with a straw. I think it's like a straw window. Great stuff overall. I mean, that's just like one aspect of this like unimaginably cruel and inhumane way in which the Israeli military operates. America did similar things, of course, in Iraq as well. But it's great that our taxes fund that shit. It's pretty sick.
That does.
Testimonies from the ground are that electricity is out, roads and infrastructure are being destroyed, and houses are being raided to install sniping positions. We haven't seen this shit in 20 years. A little ironic this comes up after the police arbitrarily shut down a Hadash branch in Haifa because they wanted to screen Janine, a legally allowed, not censored film about the IDF's brutal operations in July, and the sequel to Mohammed Bakri's excellent 2002 film. Post from 2020 about Straw Widow missions. Some of our testimonies describe Straw Widow missions, taking over a Palestinian house to use as a temporary lookout or sniper outpost. For the Palestinians who have the misfortune of having a view of the strategically important area from their window, that can mean frequent harassment. But in our service, in the occupied Palestinian territories, was time limited. Once our 3 years or however long we'd signed on for were up, we got to leave it all behind and go back to the safety of our homes, where the idea of a foreign military force barging in and taking over would be inconceivable. Straw widows, not straw windows. Straw widow missions is what it's called. I mean, this is like one aspect of this cruelty, this brutality that is always ongoing, for the record. It's just one aspect. What's their excuse for the West Bank? Let me tell you, okay? They're calling it Operation Summer Camp, by the way, which is, again, insane. Like, just straight Hitlerian, no jokes at this point, like, just straight up owning it, okay? Operation Summer Camp. Why is it being conducted? Because there's speculation that Iran is funding the West Bank Palestinians and that they're going to conduct suicide bomb attacks. Okay? Now, let me explain something to you about how unlikely that is. Okay? How unlikely that is. There are checkpoints in every fucking aspect of the West Bank. The West Bank is completely fucking occupied. Okay? Completely occupied. Completely. So they already have that in place because they're worried about terror attacks on Jews, on Israeli settlers, specifically in the West Bank and also in Israel proper. Now they're claiming that civilians are going to go and, blow up trucks and shit like that inside of Israel proper. And that's why they have to do a preemptive genocide in the West Bank as well.
And
the IDF is working. Yeah, there was one Tel Aviv bomb explosion that happened that Hamas claimed. Okay, Hamas has claimed that it was behind a bomb in Tel Aviv on Sunday night, which Israeli authorities say killed a suspected attacker and injured a civilian. Okay, this was a like a truck attack or something. Like it was a truck filled with explosives, I think. Or wait, maybe it was, I thought it was like, or originally they said it was like a truck filled with explosives, but maybe it's not. Bomb explosion in Tel Aviv. Statement from the Armed group said it was a martyrdom operation carried out in cooperation with Palestinian Islamic Jihad. It also warned that suicide attacks would return to the forefront if Israel continued what it called massacres of Palestinians. Israel's police force and Shin Bet Domestic Security Service said earlier that they could confirm it was a terrorist attack involving a powerful explosive device. Suicide bombers with a backpack exploded next to the truck. Okay. The blast happened on Leahy Street on southern Tel Aviv about an hour after the U.S. Secretary of State landed in the city to push Gaza ceasefire and a hostage deal. Okay. Anyway, here's Israel Katz, Minister of Foreign Affairs. He says the IDF is working intensively from tonight in the Jenin and Tulkarem refugee camps to thwart Islamic Iranian terrorist infrastructures that have been established there. Iran is working to establish an eastern terrorist front against Israel in the West Bank, according to Gaza and Lebanon model, by financing and arming terrorists and smuggling advanced weapons from Jordan. We must deal with the threat just as we deal with the terrorist infrastructure in Gaza, including the temporary evacuation of Palestinian residents and whatever steps are required. This is a war for everything, and we must win it. Now, what's interesting about this, of course, yeah, Israel Katz is just a Nazi, is right. What's interesting, of course, about this is that these guys in Jenin and Tulkarem, the refugee camps, that are armed, have the legal right, if not the responsibility, to defend with physical confrontation and violence, if necessary, their own territory from Israeli incursions. It is actually Israel that is actively violating international human rights. And this isn't like a complex situation. It's just straight up unconscionable and illegal. Okay? And the International Court of Justice declared it to be illegal again as recently as a month ago. So, like, Israel is in a permanent invasion and occupation status as an illegal occupier, a belligerent. So the fact that they say, well, these guys are terrorists or whatever, is fucking ridiculous. Like, you are literally doing terror. They are in the right. They are morally in the right. They are right by international human rights standards. Okay? Like, you have to understand, this is not even like an October 7 justification style situation, okay? Israel is doing an October 7 every day, technically, by occupying this area, okay? By occupying this area that does not belong to them. I need you to understand this. Like, the laws don't matter to Israel, obviously, but like, you have to understand, like, it is completely illegal what Israel is doing. It is completely legal what the Jenin brigades are doing in terms of, like, defending their own fucking territory. So just remember that. Like, they're terrorists. It's like fucking Russia invading Ukraine and then being like, wow, I can't believe these terrorists are fucking fighting back against us. Okay? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Of course people are going to fuck. You're violating the sovereignty of an entire group of people. Of course they're going to fucking do that. It blows my fucking mind, dude. Russia does say that, lol. Yeah, of course Russia says that. Except no one in the fucking Western world gives a shit. Except for like 8 people still pushing Z. So understand that what Israel is doing is terrorism.
He said, quote, we must address this threat just like we're handling terror infrastructure in Gaza, including temporary evacuation of Palestinian residents and any step necessary. This is a war like any other, and we must win it. Now, that is significant, the fact that he's suggesting there could be evacuations in the occupied West Bank, just as there are and have been in Gaza.
Technically, since we pay our tax dollars to this, aren't we complicit too? I mean, yes. But as long as you are doing everything you physically can to try and put an end to this, as an American taxpayer, as an American citizen, what more can you fucking do? You know what I mean? That is why when people say this issue is irrelevant, why the fuck are you talking about this? Why are you talking about this? It's like, well, I'm paying for it. Of course I'm going to fucking talk about this. I'm paying for it.